Hello my YouTube world, this is Johnny Mo coming to you with a very special video, a little part 2, be Bon Jovi instead of bad English. I love this topic because for people who've been around in business for a while, you can really relate to what we're going to talk about here. And what I'm talking about is if you're going to sustain yourself in business, it's more than, hey, you're going to make it rah, rah, rah stuff. But there are going to be specific times in your business where you're going to have to cross multi-generational compasses, if you will. And the reason why I say that is because this is my 20th year in business. And I can honestly say that the customers that I have now are not the ones I had in the beginning, because a lot of them have passed away. And I look at my customer list now and I see a lot of customers that, aren't feeling well right now and probably are not going to be around in the next 2 to 3 years. And if you have a lot of older customers and the customers that you came in with, generally you'll find that people were on Social Securities. Unfortunately, this is generally what I've seen happen in this business, is when you have a lawn service or you trim some bushes, you're doing some basic maintenance, you end up getting a lot of like Social Security people whose husbands have died. And they've got a little bit of extra money, and all of a sudden you move in and you're their person for the next until they pass away. And you'll see that will happen a lot in this business. You'll get a lot of customers like that. But all of a sudden you'll find you're top heavy in that area, and you're going to have to become multi-generational, meaning you're going to have to market yourself to a new generation here. And that's what we were talking about, how Bon Jovi was able to do that. And I want to talk to you today about another group that was able to do that. Heart, back in 1974, came out with this song. 1974. If you remember this song, this is Magic Man. They also came out with this song here. Barracuda. I don't know if you remember this. Very popular, made them very popular between 1974 and 1976. Dreamboat Annie was another song they came out with. Crazy for You also came off that album. Very popular group in the 70s, really sustained them with those songs. But what happened was, and this is interesting, and this is what happens in business, and this is what I want you to get. This is the key point, is, so my mom had me when she was 19. So she was just graduating, and that was the type of music that was out then. So fast forward 10 years later, okay? Now, the same person that was listening to that folky style music, that kind of heavy metal, has now moved into a job, a kid, everything. And so Heart has to appeal to a new generation, which would have been my generation. Okay? Now, this is the key. If you're going to stay in business, you're going to have to appeal to a new generation. So the people that were 65, retired, or 70, and you got their accounts, and now they're passing on at 85 and 90, and now you got a new group of 65s coming in. Somehow you've got to reach them and appeal to them, because now they've lived through some different technology, they've lived through some different things. That older generation, they like to deal in cash. They pay their bills all the time, right away, boom, 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 boom. Well, this newer generation coming up right behind them, they're a little bit different. They might want to do credit cards. So, and you're going to have to think about marketing yourself a little bit differently. And this is why I say this, because, looking back on it, Heart despised the music they put out in the 80s. But I thought it was great music, and it introduced me to what I thought was really good music, but they did not like it. But here's the thing. Heart wouldn't be Heart if all they put out was that one little album, 1 or 2 albums back in the 70s, and that's the end of them, and you never heard it. They wouldn't be Heart. You're not going to be who you need to be if you do not make the changes that are needed to be made. Now, let's go back to Heart. Find it very interesting. This is one of the songs they came out with. What About Love? Now we're in my generation, whereas the songs previous were my mother's generation. Now this album sustained Hart for another 7 years in the business. Another one was this song here, Alone. It's another Hart that came out in my generation. And here's another one, Nothing at All. And probably their biggest one of the 80s was this song, These Dreams. And this album that I just played for you put Hart back on the map, and it renewed their music into a new generation. And why that's important is in business is because if you look at, they'll say they regretted that error, but if they didn't have that error, Hart wouldn't be who they are. And it's just like you right now. You're probably in a space in business where you're going to have to, about every 10 years, I believe you're going to have to remarket yourself to get new clients. You can't be the old fuddy-duddy, well, it worked back in those days. If Hart would have tried to put out songs like Magic Man and Barracuda in the mid-'80s, it wouldn't have worked because the music, the synthesizer age had fully turned. You needed to have synthesizers. The rock ballad was popular. So Hart would have failed. So if you're going to take the same ideas, like when I started in 96, if I try to take some of those same ideas and apply them today, so many things have changed. You know, offering credit cards. You know, if you're not offering a credit card type payment system, you know, you're going to have trouble, you know, getting paid from some of these customers because everything's done with a card. No one carries cash. You know, even doing checks now is a big deal. Marketing is a big deal right now because you're going to have to do that if you want to be successful. And about every 10 years, you think about your business and what are you doing, you know. I remember there was a time where I didn't want to letter any more of my trucks. I had did the marketing I needed to do. And, you know, I got to the point where I was getting a little stale. I had all the work I needed to have. I mean, I had work galore. But what I noticed was the phone wasn't ringing as much anymore. What I noticed was, you know, I was thinking maybe it was just the area or, you know, no one was really, the area was down. There was no real, you know, things going on. What I come to find out when I talk to, oh yeah, my phone's ringing. So what I had to do is I had to up the lettering on my truck. So I ended up getting all the trucks lettered, then the trailers lettered, and then the phone started ringing again. And I had to introduce myself to a new generation because the first generation, they were dying off. And, you know, it's sad, you know, you've had a customer for 15 years and all of a sudden, you know, she passes away or he passes away. And it's sad, but the truth of the matter is, if you live in a retirement town kind of like mine, you live in the Rust Belt kind of area where not a lot of jobs for younger people are, so you're going to end up having a lot of older customers whose husbands die and you take care of them. But I want you to realize that you have to be able to appeal to the next generation. You can't just rely on these customers will last forever because they don't. You know, sometimes they pass away, sometimes they in a 10, 15 year period, money changes for them, so you have to change for them. So I want you to take advice from the group Hart. Play some more of their newer stuff. This was off their album in the 90s. I think this is 92. All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You. And even listening to that, they were able to push themselves into the 90s with a new album. Stranded was another one that came off that album. I like this song. One of my favorite songs then. And I believe this was 92. Great band. I liked it. They did not like the music they put out. They said they sold out. But I'm telling you, if you're going to be successful in this business for any length of time, you're going to have to do some things or stretch yourself. You know, I don't like taking credit cards. I really don't. I think it's a pain in the butt. But there's times where you're just going to have to do things that's going to stretch you if you're going to be around, or you're going to be a relevant person in this business for years to come. After 20 years, things change so much in any given segment. I mean, if you think about even the music that's being put out, I don't believe Heart could release another album based on this type of songs on today. It just wouldn't work. So things change. So think about some things that you can do right now to change the aspect of your business, to have longevity, to be a group like Heart, to be relevant 20 years into the business. I mean, basically from 74 to 95 is basically their foothold there. I mean, that's when they made the most money. They've put out some other albums after that, but honestly, they didn't do anything, and that was their foothold. And they felt that they sold out to who they were or who they weren't. And, some other groups that were on the same track of like that was a Foreigner and a Styx, where Dennis DeJohn and Styx really was a forward thinking. He knew what was going on, but his band didn't want to go there. They didn't want to go to the synthesizers and the ballads, and they wanted to stay back into the 70s, and realizing that although those songs were great in the 70s, like Blue Collar Man and all of that stuff that they put out back then, you have to realize that the stuff that you do later actually builds what you did before. Do you see what I mean when I say that? Like, it's not that you're selling out. You're still putting out great, great music. It's just the fact that things change. And if this is what you want to do, if this is what, when you get up in the morning, you want to do that, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to change your aspects a little bit. You're going to have to change some of the services, for you to keep going. There was a lot of people, before 2008 that were all gung-ho about, hey, we're just going to be doing landscaping now. That's it. We're going to get out of the mowing. And then, boom, everything shifted. The housing market went bust. And then everybody wanted to just basically, get into mowing because that's where the money was. And it's just funny how things shifted. Now it's coming back again where people are getting back into hardscaping, and now that's all they want to do is go hardscaping. But I'm here to tell you, be careful. You're going to have to, I hate to prune. I do. I hate to prune shrubs. I just don't like to prune the shrubs. It's not my favorite thing to do. I do it because it adds an aspect that keeps me on the property. Snow plowing is another thing that I never wanted to get involved with, but you have to add these type of things so that you can be relevant years down the road. And I'm not talking about, making a 5-year run or a 10-year run. I'm talking about making a 20, 30, 40-year run. So when you're done, you've retired off of it, just some things for you to think about. And so I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite Heart songs, which is These Dreams. So I want you to think about this. Heart said this music here, they despised it because they felt like they sold out to what was going on. What are some things that you feel uncomfortable with, like pruning or things that you can add to your business to make yourself more marketable and be more relevant for years down the road? Because I'm going to tell you this, you're going to have to do these things to stay relevant and stay in business. There's a lot that can happen in a couple of decades. Hey guys, great video. Let me know what you think down there. Let me know what your favorite Heart song is. See you later, guys.